Hello and welcome back to week 7 of our 8-week series here on Sahaja Meditation, Meditate Upstate. This is our second to last of this 8-week series, and we're going to cover some deepening today. So I'm looking forward to that. So in our first 6 weeks, we did a great overview of this entire subtle system, really focusing on the whole process that's going on while we're meditating, while understanding the practice that we need to establish in order to make it work. And as we wrap things up in these last 2 weeks, we're going to focus on deepening. And so deepening meditation in terms of our attention and our awareness. So as we go over this practice and the process of meditation, we're not going to pay a whole lot of attention to the process today. We've done that. We can go back and look at these videos and understand the process, what's happening when we're meditating. Let's ensure that we're really doing what's necessary in the practice to be deepening in our meditative practice. So as we're familiar with, meditation is really all about our attention. So asking ourselves this question on a regular basis, where is my attention, is a fantastic way to really pay attention to our attention. It's such an important factor in getting to where we want to go. Where do we want to go? We want to get into thoughtless awareness. That state where, as the National Institute of Health has defined it, where we are focusing our attention and suspending our thoughts. So it's that combination of garnering our power of attention, harnessing it so that we can then focus it into a place in between our thoughts. So suspending our thoughts. So thoughtless awareness, breaking it down just a little bit, harnessing that power of attention, and then throwing that focus, that awareness or that attention in this present moment, right between the past and the future. That present is our meditative reality. That is our thoughtless awareness. Once we're there, it's completely silent. There's no noise from within. There's no noise from without. It doesn't disturb us. We're not reacting to the noise from within, and we're not reacting to all of the stimuli that's affecting us all around us. That is the Zen. That is that blissful meditative state that we are aiming for. Once we're there, that's our conducive state for meditation. Sounds great. Sounds really easy. What's getting in the way? A whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff. There is so much that gets in our way of being in that blissful state of meditation, even if we're carving out the time, even if we are doing what seems to be necessary. There's noise. There's mental noise. There's audible noise. There are factors at play, things that are taking our attention, money, work, our responsibilities, our to-do list, time, our awareness of time, our thoughts about time, the future, the past, oh, those dreadful phones, those computers, everything technological that's getting in our way. Health. Are we having any health problems? Are we concerned of our health? Are we concerned about our family, our family's health? Do we have concerns about our home, transportation, pets? All those responsibilities are real. They're absolutely real. So how do we focus our attention in the midst of all of those incredibly important realities? They're important, they're relevant. But when we're meditating, our goal is to not pay attention to those oh so important realities. So how do we do it? How do we do it? So it's a bit ironic, because initially what we need to do to get into that state of meditation, that state of thoughtless awareness, is we have to play some mind games. There's a bit of a psychological process to getting into the state where there's no mental activity at all. And so these are some of the things that we need to do to undo all of the processes that are keeping us engaged in our mind. Because we're so engaged, how do we break free of that? So some tips. We can remind ourselves, And these are things that we can do on a regular basis in our meditation. It's okay. These things are real. But right now, while I'm meditating, there's nothing I need to do. I've carved out this time to focus on my meditation, to be able to engage in this present state of thoughtless awareness. So let's put all of those responsibilities and thoughts and ideas aside. There's nothing I need to do at this moment. Everything can wait. Everything can wait. All of the noises, whether internal or external, they're just noise. They're just noise. These distractions are just distractions. And so it's a bit of a mental exercise to just continually, as these stimuli are coming at us, to go right back, like a tennis match, right back at them and say, it's okay. The noises are just noise. Nothing is going to resolve until I resolve myself. If I am engaging in this process of improving in meditation, this is my core goal. If I am strengthened, then I am better equipped to deal with everything else around her. Now is the time that I've carved out to work on me. So first things first, it's time to meditate. So sounds great. It takes practice. It takes a bit of habit. And once we get used to that bit of psychological exercises, talking to ourselves while we're meditating, shutting ourselves up, shutting up our mind, we'll be there. We'll be simply in that state of silence, meditation. We'll get there. We will get there. And it can happen incredibly quickly. It's so surprising how when we find that key that's hiding in our pocket to unlock this door, we're just there. And once we're there, it grows. And so our attention in this area of thoughtless awareness, up and above the top of the head, it expands. It unfurls. Flower, blossoming, growing, expanding. So our attention can also expand in that space. And then in our hands, the vibratory awareness begins to develop. We start to feel that vibratory awareness in our hands, and that expands and grows and until we're simply there in that beautiful state of blissful meditation. Now what? We're there, we've reached this amazing goal, we're in that silence, and this voice comes. Now what do I do? Is this it? Is it stagnant? It's not. There are more layers to this practice. So once we're able to establish our attention in that state of thoughtless awareness, we can then add on this layer, and this is a bit of a refresher we talked about a few weeks ago, of really becoming aware of what we're feeling in our hands, sensing the state of our chakras by observing what we're feeling in our hands. And again, that vibratory awareness will be strengthened once we're in the state of meditation, once we're thoughtlessly aware. So paying attention to what we're feeling on our hands, letting our hands tell us what's going on in our body. Once we're meditating, that Kundalini is awakening, it's rising up from the sacrum bone, and once it's engaged, once it's reached the crown of the head, we're feeling those sensations, or at least our attention is above the mind, going to start to have that vibratory awareness developing on the top of the head and in the palms of the hands. So when we are at this level, that we've established our ability to be in meditation and we want to start paying attention to what we're feeling, this is how we do it. When we're feeling on our left hand, it's telling us what's going on the left side. So if we're feeling the left thumb, for example, the left thumb corresponds to the second energy center. So right here, the lower part of the stomach on our left side. If we're feeling on the right hand, so the right thumb, that's corresponding to the right side. Each one of our 7 chakras has a left and a right component. If we're feeling on both fingers, that's telling us that our inner energy is working And at the central aspect, at the main aspect of this chakra, it's working, it's encountering some blockages, some resistance, and that's why we're feeling something. And when I say feeling something, this vibratory awareness in general is our ability to sense what's going on within. So our Kundalini, in its essence, is a cool, light, very gentle sensation. That's its essence. Its energy is cool and light. When it's encountering any obstructions, any obstacles at any level as it's rising up our central channel, that work is going to be expressed in our hands by warmer, heavier, or more pressurized sensation. So we may feel a bit of heaviness, we may feel more pressure or heat. So heat, warmth, pressure, any of those things that kind of stand out. And as your vibratory awareness develops, it's something that you yourself will understand. You yourself will understand how to differentiate between a balanced system when you're in that beautiful state of meditation and you're feeling it cool, it's not warm, everything is flowing, perhaps unobstructed, so you're feeling more cool sensations. You may feel less heat, less heaviness, less communication on the hands, just light, even, and cool. But when there's work being done, as your inner energy is clearing your system, you'll feel that heaviness. So starting to decode what's happening. Is it left? Is it right? Or is it both fingers telling us on the center? So it can get us into a mental exercise because, again, we may not yet be comfortable with that decoding where each one of those points are on our hands and how that corresponds to the different energy centers. And so it can tend to break our meditation once we're adding in this layer of awareness, starting to pay attention and starting to decode. It's okay. It's okay, because it does take some habit of getting used to that correlation. Pointer fingers, oh, I know that that's my throat energy center. The pinky fingers, oh, I just know that that's my heart. It becomes second nature, but in the beginning, yes, you may have to open your eyes. You may have to look at this chart and remind yourself what it corresponds to. Another way to do it is have a blank piece of paper next to you and, take notes of what you're feeling without even thinking about what it means. Because thinking is what we don't want. We don't want this vibratory awareness to trigger us into any analysis or evaluation. We don't need to do that. Why we're doing this is because we're putting our attention on our energy system, which is enabling it to be more effective. So if we have time today, we're going to actually have, let's see where we are in our timing. We're going to have 2 meditations, perhaps a bit shorter, but we're going to approach our meditations today as follows. Our first meditation is, as every time, to establish us in that state of thoughtless awareness and to start to pay attention to what we're feeling in our hands and start to pay attention in a way that we can actually observe. Maybe we're at the point where we're just feeling and we don't actually have that deciphering ability to distinguish, is that heat, is that cool, is that an obstruction, or is that just my inner energy communicating that it is, that energy center is open, so it's feeling just cool and light, or is there more heaviness? Wherever we are, that's where we are, and there's no need to make it more complicated. So if we're just at the point of being able to feel, that's fantastic. But if we're used to feeling this energy, and while maintaining our attention in thoughtless awareness, we can start to really be our own doctor, meditative doctor in a way. We're looking at our system, we're scanning our system, and we're seeing what's going on. Just taking a bit of a note as we're meditating without letting it trigger us into any kind of mental escapade. So I hope that makes sense. That's how we're going to do our first meditation, and then we'll come together afterwards and kind of see what we can do with what we're feeling on our hands. We may be doing some of these gestures and affirmations you're familiar with to help to get us into our blissful state. of meditation. So let's get ready. I've kept that chart on the screen for us in this meditation. So if you need to open one eye and just peek and pay attention to what finger means what, go ahead and try that out today. So we can take off our glasses, get nice and comfortable, however we're seated, turn off any noises, any distractions that might be getting in our way. Have a sip of tea, of course. And we're going to begin our meditation by raising our inner energy and giving ourselves 7 shields of protection. If you're not familiar with this exercise, this is taught back in week 2 or week 3. This is intending to get us and our attention in the absolute state of meditation, securing our focus and encouraging our inner energy to become awakened and be established up and over the top of the head, flowing through our entire system and ultimately reaching the crown of the head. Our 7 shields of protection, over and back, 7 times to protect each one of our 7 chakras. So let's begin by paying attention to where our focus is right now. Where is my attention? Approaching ourselves, approaching where our attention is with complete honesty. Where is my attention? Am I focused in the past? In the future? Am I distracted by my environment? Am I overly aware of my physical being? Am I swimming around in the sea of thoughts in my mind? Or can I swim out farther from that incredibly busy activity of thought into a more open, silent, peaceful place? Can I bring my attention beyond my mind, up and over the crown of my head? Can I look for that silent space between each thought, that gap between the past and the future? Can I identify this present moment? And dive deep into the now. No thought. There's nothing to think about when I'm paying attention to this moment. Let's take our right hand and place it across the forehead, bending our head gently forward to rest our head into the palm of the right hand. Our shoulders are relaxed. Our left palm is open on our lap, fingers apart. And our attention is right where our right hand is placed, right at the forehead. at our sixth energy center, or our Agya chakra. If we are still caged in our mind, banging to get out, let's utilize this very simple technique to create and immerse ourselves into absolute silence. This simple technique of forgiveness. So without thinking of anyone in specific, from our hearts, truly, deeply believing each and every word, we'll silently say, I forgive everyone. And I forgive myself. If it helps to say it out loud and you're in a place where you can do it, this very simple affirmation, when we express it with complete commitment, will help to unlock, will absolutely unlock that silence. I completely forgive everyone. I forgive. And I forgive myself. Let these words, let this absolutely true sentiment, or sentiment that's becoming true, it may take time to get there, this forgiveness, let this lighten our load. I forgive. I completely forgive everyone, and I forgive myself. Let's bring our hand back to our lap. Home position, palms open on our laps. As we bring our head again upright, again creep our attention upwards above the mind. Can we, now that we've expressed this forgiveness, it opens up the sixth energy center. Once we've opened up this sixth energy center just through the power of forgiveness, can we establish our attention over the crown of the head? Can all of those distractions, all of those thoughts, all of those other realities that are irrelevant right now, can they completely drop off? Can they dissolve into nothingness and allow our focus to completely become embraced and to completely embrace this present moment? It often becomes incredibly simple once our sixth energy center has opened up to get our focus to the crown of the head and beyond. If we're still struggling with thought, we can take our hand and raise it up from the base of the spine to the crown of the head, cupping our hand in front of us, expressing that desire to raise our inner energy. It raises up, that it reaches the crown of the head. And once our hand reaches the crown of the head, let's take the center of the palm and place it on the fontanelle bone area, that center point on the crown of the head that was soft in our infancy. Stretching our fingers so that we're applying a gentle pressure to the crown of the head. Let's gently press and rotate on this point, which is the location of our seventh energy center, our Sahasrara chakra. As we gently rotate the scalp. We're pressing and rotating, giving a gentle massage. We can express the desire that our inner energy culminate at this point. That culmination, that happening, known as self-realization, when our inner energy unites with the energy that exists all around us. So we can silently say from our hearts, I want to experience my self-realization, or I want to deepen my self-realization. I want to get into that meditative state. Beckoning our inner energy up with our desire, letting our attention hone in on that point between our hand and our head, so that our absolute focus is on the 7th energy center. We can let our hand just pause for a moment while gently pressing on the crown of the head, letting that focus truly become established at the point between the hand and the head. And then slowly raise our hand up, very slowly. Let that rising of our inner energy, let that energy that is emanating out now from the crown of the head, let it gently push our hand upwards. So as our hand rises, we're just becoming aware of that space over the crown of the head, and also slowly observing any sensations, anything observable over the crown of the head. We can switch hands to compare that awareness, returning our right hand to our lap and bringing our left hand up and over the top of the head. What, if anything, can I feel over the crown of my head? Can I keep my focus in this present moment, in this complete, expansive, dynamic silence that exists in this present moment, where there is no thought? And while there, what is observable over the top of the head? What is the difference with that observation very close to the head? And as I slowly raise my hand up and down that axis, from the crown of the head upwards, what is observable? How far over the crown of the head might I feel something? And then let's keep our focus there. In that space over the crown of the head, as we drop our hand back to our home position, palms open, fingertips apart, shoulders relaxed. Not stagnant, but in that dynamic buzzing, connecting with our essence, with our energy, with our form as energy. Letting our focus get beyond our mind, beyond our body, so that those are not confining our attention. The physical is not trapping us. The mental is not trapping us. We are right here, right now, in this time, in this space. But our attention is placed on what's happening when I am in this meditative state. when I am able to become thoughtlessly aware, what is that experience? What happens when I stop doing, when I stop thinking, when I stop reacting, and I let my attention completely immerse into this present, thoughtlessly aware moment? We'll keep our focus up and over the top of the head. Attentive to the expression, the movement of our inner energy, any vibratory awareness that's starting to develop, that's attracting or notifying us in any way. We'll pay attention to what we're feeling in the palms of our hands, in our fingertips, on the center of our palms, without letting that awareness trigger us into an analytic place. There's nothing we need to think about, nothing we need to understand, nothing we need to process. This will be more efficient, more successful, more powerful, more transformative when we dive deep into the present moment. Letting our attention expand into the space over the top of the head. No thought. Just paying attention to what we're feeling on the palms of our hands and over the top of the head. So let's sustain our meditation for a few minutes with a bit of music while paying attention to that awareness, those sensations, those vibrations, what they're telling us on our hands and on the tops of our heads. Let's bring our hands up at the level of the heart. Fingertips apart. See what we can sense in the palms of the hands at this point. What are we feeling in the palms of the hands? What is our inner energy telling us? About the state of our subtle energy system. We can bring our hands back to our laps, and let's raise one hand up and over the top of the head and see what we can feel close to or farther above the crown of the head. And then switch hands. We can tell a great deal about what's happening in our subtle system by what's being expressed over the crown of the head. This works best when we're meditating. When we're not thinking about it, when our focus is in this moment, there's no process of analyzing, just observing. What do we feel close to the head? What do we feel farther above? Let's keep our focus there as we bring our hand back down to our lap. Let's slowly bring our meditation to an end and open our eyes. I'm quite sure there are a variety of experiences that we had if we were able to get into that meditative state with our attention up and over the top of the head. We may have felt heat, we may have felt heaviness, we may have felt tingling. There are a myriad of ways in which our inner energy is expressing this process to us. But in general, if we're feeling cool, even, light, it's that notification that our inner energy has reached that energy center. It's reached that point and it's working, it's clear in that place. If it's cool and light and even. If, however, we're feeling heaviness or heat or pressure, that notification is just different. There's more work taking place. So there may be some blockages, some imbalances. If we're feeling the left, it's on the left. If we're feeling on the right, it's on the right. And if we're feeling both things, it's on the level on the center. So beginning to decode and then learning how to clear. So this is our next layer. So we've got 2 layers really we're adding on. Once we're into that state, thoughtless aware, paying attention, being aware of our vibrations, of what's happening. And now we're adding on one additional layer. How do we do this? How do we get involved while staying uninvolved? It's a bit of a trick and it takes some practice. So what we're doing when we're clearing is we're slightly stepping into the picture. Our attention maintains in that state of being thoughtlessly aware. We don't get engaged in the act of doing in a mental or controlling way. We get in the act of doing in a way which maintains our meditation, which remains detached, which remains silent, but it is a process of directing our attention. So what are we doing? When we're clearing our imbalances, when we're aware that we have an imbalance, let's say that left thumb again corresponds, or let's say the left pinky. Our left pinky corresponds to the left side of our heart. So let's say we're feeling the left pinky finger. By feeling that heat, heaviness, or pressure, our inner energy is telling us something's going on. There's some work that needs to be done, some blockage, some impurity on the left side. So by simply paying attention to that finger, that's one way of helping. We're directing our attention to the imbalance. It's more than just putting our attention, but it's directing our attention to that imbalance, to that chakra. We may not know that the pinky corresponds to our heart. That's okay. When we do that, when we put our attention on the imbalance, there's some neurology that's going on. There's some neuroscience that's going on. So there's a lot to this science. There's a lot to understand what's going on, but it has to do with two things. It has to do with the directing of our attention. So there's this simple concept. It's a very simplistic way of describing what's happening when we're putting our attention on something, is this simplistic concept of neurons wiring together. So if we've got our attention, we're directing it towards something, our brain is firing neurons. If it's more attention, it's firing multiple neurons. And if those multiple neurons are firing and directing towards something, it's forming a link. It's forming that connection. Neurons that fire together, wire together is that very simplistic way of understanding that the more attention we put on something, it forms a stronger bond. It makes something happen. And I'm going to keep it vague because even science is still understanding all of the process between what's happening when we're directing our attention, the power of our attention, that it has an incredible potency. There's also neurogenesis. So the development of neurons generally happens in utero when we're very, very young, as we're developing, as embryos, and as in our infancy. But there is some research into neurogenesis that's happening, the actual creation of neurons in adulthood. So this is a fantastic thing. When we harness the power of our attention and we're directing it towards a problem within us, we may be actually generating neurons that didn't exist, and we're forming stronger synapses between our brain and that issue. So neurons that fire together, wire together. It's not merely movement. This is a combination of a very simplistic movement. So what we're doing, how to clear our chakras or our imbalances. Putting our attention is a very simple way of doing it. We can actually use a very simplistic movement. So if we're feeling that left middle pinky finger, we can take our hand and rotate it around the finger. So very simply rotating our hand around the finger while we're meditating. So our hand is open, we're feeling that imbalance, and we're just simply clearing that imbalance. We're doing it while in the state of meditation, not thinking about it, not feeling like we're doing so much, but just clearing, rotating our hand right around that finger in a clockwise direction, okay? So this is how we can help to clear it. It may seem very simplistic, but just like everything in this practice, putting this hypothesis to the test is what is going to prove it to you. So when you're feeling that heat or that heaviness, go ahead. Direct your attention towards that finger. Your inner energy is calling your attention. She's telling you something's going on. There's work that needs to be done. And see if you can incorporate this movement of rotating your hand around the finger and then pulling off. So the action is to rotate and then to pull off that impurity, to remove that obstruction. See what happens when you can do that action, not thinking about it, doing it from a place of thoughtless awareness while in that state of meditation, clearing that chakra and just observing, does that heat, does that heaviness subside? So it's a combination of movement and intention. If we're not doing the movement, that intention is an incredible, important factor that is part of what's making it work. So if we know, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so you can actually see, if we know what's happening, we know that that finger is calling our attention, we can clear simply on the finger. However, if we know where that finger corresponds to, we've got our subtle system chart, we're looking and we see this is finger number 4, it corresponds to the heart, it's on the left side. We can also do that same action right on the chakra itself. So rotating in a clockwise direction, which is always up the right and down the left, up the right and down the left, right in front of that chakra. So if it's on the left side, we're going to clear on the left. If it's on the right, we're going to clear on the right, up the right and down the left is clockwise. And if we're feeling both fingers, both pinkies, for this example, we're going to clear in the center, right around the center of the heart chakra. So these are ways that we can clear our chakras when we're starting to feel those imbalances. So we've got a few more minutes. Let's have another brief meditation. And as we get into this meditation, let us incorporate this technique of cleansing. So let's see if we can keep that meditation going and add on this layer when we're feeling those imbalances, clearing that chakra, either on the finger or right in front of the chakra itself to help clear and observe what's happening when we're helping our inner energy. That's what we're doing. Simply by rotating our hand around that area, we are helping our inner energy by using our power of attention and adding it into the equation. Not only does our inner energy want to clear those obstructions, she's our own inner, she's like our mother. She wants to help us. She wants to nourish us. She wants to put us into a state of balance. We want that too. And so by putting our attention there, we're working with her. All right, so let's get back to our home position, palms open on our laps. Take a nice deep breath. See if we can bring our attention once again up and over the top of the head. We can use our hand to help us bring our focus and establish it way up over the mind, over the crown of the head. Once we're there, perhaps we're feeling energy over the crown of the head. Let's see if we can feel anything in the palms of the hands. So with our home position, palms open on our laps, nice and relaxed. What is our inner energy telling us? What is the state of my subtle system? Ensuring that our attention is in this moment. No thought is important. There's a lot to think about, a lot to analyze. None of that needs to happen right now. Let's keep our focus up and over the top of the head. We can bring our hands up to the level of the heart, fingertips apart, holding our hands open right in front of us. What is the state of my subtle system? So let's take a few examples just to practice this technique of starting to clear our chakras. Let's take the example, if we're feeling the middle finger, let's take the left middle finger. So if we look at our subtle system, we can see that that middle finger corresponds to number 3. The third chakra is at the center of the stomach, the Nabhi chakra. If we're feeling that middle finger on the left side, so it's the left side of the stomach, we can do one of two things. We can clear at the finger, just taking our hand, rotating it around the left middle finger and clearing that area, keeping our focus up and over the top of the head, clearing our chakra. Whatever impurities are obstructing, whatever problems, habits, negativities in any way that are clogging up our system, let's clear them out. Let's help our inner energy to clear our system. So we can clear on the finger itself, or if we know where it is on our body, we can clear right on that level. So the left middle finger, the left side of the stomach. So I'm clearing right in front of the left side of the stomach by rotating in a clockwise direction, up the right and down the left. While doing this, keeping our attention up and over the top of the head, wherever you're feeling heat or heaviness, if you're clearing that chakra while maintaining your meditative state, you're going to start to see something change. You will feel as that chakra gets cleared, as that blockage gets resolved, that heat will subside, heaviness will subside, that pressure or prickling will subside. It will become lighter, more even, and cooler. Let's bring our hands back open in front of us at the level of the heart. Wherever you're feeling an imbalance, you can take a look at that chart, decode it, or not. You can work simply on the finger without even knowing where it corresponds to. It will still work. Even if you don't understand it, it will still work. That is the magic of this thoughtless process. It works while we are thoughtlessly aware. Understanding is an incredibly important factor. It satisfies us, it keeps us engaged and understanding of what's happening, but it doesn't facilitate the process. So let's approach the understanding and then analysis later. And while in meditation, just meditate. Thoughtlessly aware. Nothing to think about, nothing to understand, just clearing wherever there's heat or heaviness or pressure on the hands or on the corresponding chakras. If you're feeling the left pointer finger, it's the left side of the neck. You can also take the hand and place it on that area. That will help with the directing of our attention, expressing of our desire, firing those neurons, directing our focus to this energy center and clearing it. Watch what happens. If you're able to maintain that meditative state and not let this trigger you into a place of thought, watch what happens when you clear your chakra. What do you feel on your hand? Does that subside? Does that heat subside? Does that pressure subside? And after doing this for a while, going bit by bit, whatever fingers are calling our attention, just clearing them, whether it's on the right hand or the left, right side, the left side of the body or the center, just clearing until perhaps we're not feeling so much of that heaviness and that heat. When it calms down, it's cooler, more even, then let's check what we're feeling up and over the top of the head. What do we feel close to the head? What do we feel farther above? Once we've helped by clearing our system, the sensations that will be expressed up and over the top of the head are going to be like those in our hands. They will be less heavy, less warm. They'll be cooler and more even, reflecting an unobstructed pathway. We've cleared out those blockages, those obstructions, and now our inner energy, our kundalini, can rise up the center and we can feel her coming out in her essence, cool, light, and even. And as our system gets clearer, it will tend to remain clearer. It will build in a upward spiral direction, becoming greater and greater, stronger and stronger, more and more focused towards that core, less tendency to swing from those right and left extremes, but maintain in the center. You'll find that it's easier to get into thoughtless awareness, to maintain in thoughtless awareness, just by simply helping to clear our chakras. So I would recommend you spend a few minutes doing this in your meditation, if you can do it while maintaining that state of meditation. If, however, it's becoming too complicated, I would always recommend going back to the basics and first work on establishing your ability to get into meditation. And then after that's there, establish your ability to just observe what you're feeling. Once you can do both, maintain your meditation, that state of being thoughtlessly aware, and observe what's happening on your hands and on the top of the head without starting to think about it, you can then add on this process of clearing your chakras. So we'll wrap up our meditation with that today by raising our inner energy and giving ourselves 7 shields of protection to end our meditation today. It's been a great amount of learning, hopefully a great amount of growth. What happens when we're clearing our chakras is that our meditation gets deeper and more powerful. It becomes easier and easier to reach that meditative state. And the byproducts of meditation, all of that strength and balance that is inherent to our being, that satisfaction, that peace, that confidence, that security, that sweetness and diplomacy and communication, all of those qualities will automatically get established and reveal themselves as our system gets clearer and clearer. So as we continue in our meditation, keeping up our regular meditations, 10 to 15 minutes twice a day, mornings and evenings. The more that we're doing it in a qualitative way, it doesn't take a great deal of time, but the time that we're giving should be quality time. That is going to lead to more time in that absolute meditative state. Foot soaking, evenings, if we can, or once a day, if we can. It's going to be a wonderful way, again, encouraging that growth within our system, that cleansing, that flushing of impurities. Keeping up our collective meditations, another very important factor. So joining us here or on any online or other way in which we can collectively meditate, using our technique, raising our energy, our 7 shields of protection to help get us in meditation and to end our meditation. And here we are, starting to pay attention. What are we feeling? While meditating, while maintaining thoughtless awareness, remaining there, witnessing the state of our settled system, and now adding in this clearing of our chakras by putting our attention on them and then clearing them when we start to feel those imbalances. That's it. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to next week, the last week of our 8-week series. Thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.